Alright. I don't know, it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the day after I just got back from Florida. I got home at like 2:20, I don't even know, I think I went to bed at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm moving a little slow. Gotta get up to speed here a little bit. I gotta get this motor made into that transmission, new clutch and stuff. We gotta get this back in there. I don't know, we're pretty much just gonna time lapse it. You've seen me do all this stuff, so come on, whack the time lapse, turn our Metallica on, and get as much done as I can. Between today and tomorrow, hopefully I can get it pretty much back together and running. I don't know what else to say. I'm pretty tired. And my ambition is down here somewhere. So, let's get moving. I'm tired. I just don't have it in me today, but that's back in. We gotta hook some stuff up and hook all the wiring back up. I'm still waiting to get my fuel injectors back from Don. Yeah, it's raining, gross out. I need to go get something to eat. That's enough for right now. I'll come back later. Whew. 21 hours of driving takes a lot out of you. You wouldn't think, but it does. All right, so I didn't time lapse me hooking everything up, but everything is hooked up. The exhaust hooked up, everything's hooked up here, wiring's all hooked up. Even got the air stuff hooked back up, heat shield, everything's in. Coolant. I still got to bleed the clutch, but it's all together. I don't have the correct tune for this setup, but the stock tune that's in the car, it should run. I don't know how good it's going to run, but it should run. Good enough to bring it up to temp and do what we got to do and to get it to the dyno session. So here we go. Yeah. Pressure, that's good. Tax reading about 1,000. Yeah, that'll work. Sweet. All right, we're loaded up. Down to dyno day. We're gonna make some pulls. Now that being said, I'm not going to show you the numbers for anybody. I know that's probably what you're here for, but we're using an old Mustang dyno. So the numbers are not going to be good. The numbers are going to be crap. This is more about getting the car to run efficiently than it is about seeing really good numbers. If I wanted to see really good numbers, I'd go get it on a dyno jet somewhere. But yeah, it's an old Mustang dyno. We're going to make some pulls and tune these things, but the numbers aren't going to be worth seeing for anybody. The numbers won't be good. So, but hey, we'll get some good video if the car's revving to the moon. So let's do this. What's up, YouTube? Day after dyno day. Got the car pulled in here. I'm gonna pull the oil filter out and just give her a look-see, make sure there's no glitter in there. But figured we should do a recap, a little dyno day recap. So like I said before, it's a Mustang dyno, so the numbers just aren't that good. They call them a heartbreaker for a reason. They just don't give you very good numbers. So they work good for tuning, you know, and making adjustments to the car to make it the best it can be. It's good for that. But yeah, they don't give you bragging rights. Definitely don't do that. So all of the cars tested pretty well, except for Andy's pink car, which was the last one there in the video. That was the only pull, unfortunately, on that car. Something happened, you hear at the end, it kind of pops and bangs a couple times, and then it just shuts off. Unfortunately, something happened. We don't know what. Andy's looking into that right now. Could be mechanical, could be electrical. We messed with it for a little bit, changed some spark plugs out. They swapped the throttle body over, and it just did not seem to want to run right. It would fire back up and run, but it just didn't, something wasn't quite right. So unfortunately, that car did not get fine-tuned to where it is. It's got a decent bass tune in it, but it is what it is, you know. 6 cars, only one of them had major issues. Major, depending on how you want to look at it. So yeah, it was a pretty good day. My car performed the worst out of the 6 cars, which was to be expected. It is the most stock in the group. So I'll tell you my numbers, they're horrible. It's not really, I guess, that big a deal, because like I said, the numbers we knew would be low. But the best we got my car up to on the Mustang dyno is 141 horsepower. So in comparison, if you were to Google the horsepower rating from the factory on a 2.4 Ecotech, you would get anything from 164 to 170, depending on the model of vehicle that it was in, because some came with that big runner intake like this have. So the car's the big runner intake, I believe it's the HHR. If you Google it, it's like 170 horsepower. So if you take my motor and you estimate to what it would have done on a dyno jet, according to their program on this Mustang dyno, it was like 171, which is still terrible, because this car does have cams in it. You would expect to get a little bit more than that. So again, estimate, so it's probably a little bit higher than that, but not, in my opinion, not worth the money I spent on cams and having a head redone. There could be something wrong with this. I didn't have time to go through and compression test it or leak down or any of that stuff. So where we're at right now, I'm gonna compression test it and do a leak down and see if we've got something else going on, and that's why we weren't able to make more power. It's totally possible. It's possible I'll pull this oil filter out right now and have glitter in it. Now, that's totally a possibility. But to give you an example, one of our cars was on a stock stock setup, stock 2.4. All we do is balance shaft delete, and then we have an old tune that Don and his son-in-law, one of my buddies, did 4 years ago, back when we first started, probably almost 5 years ago now. A stock tune for the 2.4, and we've been using that tune pretty much in all of the cars that had stock motors in them, all of our friends' cars that we've helped out that had stock motors in them, cars we've built and sent out that had stock motors in them. Needless to say, one of those stock setups was on a dyno jet a few days ago, and the initial pull before any modifications to the tune was 153 horsepower. Yeah, that's not exceptionally good by any means. All said and done, they were able to get significantly more out of it, which is great and I'm excited about, because I still have my stock engine sitting right there, and if there's something wrong with this, that's going back in and I'm going to want that stock tune. So that's cool, but it's funny because 153 horsepower, that tune's been in all of our stock setup cars. That tune was in my car for 4 years. I ran that tune all last year. I ran it the 2 years before that. That tune in just my car has 2 championships on it and multiple wins. Andy has a championship with that tune. Wes has a championship with that tune. The Doctor has a championship with that tune. Kurt has a bunch of wins with that tune. Donnie's got a couple wins with that tune. Andy, the Doctor, and Wes all have a bunch of wins with that 153 horsepower tune. So, like I said in that second how-to driving video thing I did a while back, when I talk about the tightrope, the power to weight ratio, etc., you know, that just proves my point. 153 horsepower on a 2,600 pound car, 25, 26, you know, depending on where you're racing your rule book. But yeah, I've said it before, and I'm going to continue to say it because everything keeps proving me right. You need to learn to drive the car before you add horsepower. Plain and simple. Build your car, save your money. Do not put it into that motor. You know, unless you want to freshen up a stock motor just to go out there. But most of these stock motors I'm talking about right now came out of junkyard cars with over 100,000 miles on them. And we put that tune in, you know, balance shaft delete, put that tune in, put the motor in the car, and race it. You don't need to spend a ton of money on horsepower to go out there and be competitive. You need to go out, build your car. Say you're new and you're building a new car. Build your car, get everything in the car, go to the track, talk to the guys there, what they do to set up, talk to the guys that are doing good, not just any random guy who wants to talk to you, because there's a lot of guys who don't know anything, that just like to run their mouth. That's the truth, sorry. So go, figure it out. Figure out how to get that car to turn and rotate and go through the corner good, and then just learn how to drive it. Get that seat time. You know, and it might take a year before you've got good consecutive lap times and you can run, you know, top 5. Then, after you've got it figured out and you know how to drive that car properly, it's running well, it's turning well, then if you want to add horsepower, go for it. You know, my teammates are adding horsepower. You know, a lot of guys I know are spending big money on motors. But that 153 horsepower tune on those stock engines put a whole lot of big money cars to shame. A whole lot of them. I mean, cars that had more money in the head than the entire cost of my race car when I built it. Just the head had more money in it than the entire race car. And I beat those guys. And my teammates beat those guys. And the other cars that we helped out and worked on have beat cars like that. So, don't waste your money on horsepower until you figure out how to drive that car. I am not seeing any glitter at all. Where's my flashlight? So that's a good sign. I'm not seeing any metal filings at all. No debris, nothing weird. Filter looks good. So we have to do a compression test and leak down and see if maybe we got something else going on. Or maybe it's fine. Maybe it was just a dyno with really low numbers, and you know, maybe we just need to go to the racetrack and ow, pinch my finger Maybe we just need to go to the track and put it to the test, because that's really the test. The real test is going out on the racetrack, because you can have all the horsepower in the world and still get beat by somebody with a stock 2.4. I did it a lot. So there you go. I mean, hopefully this information is useful to you. There's a lot of I've been doing this for a while now, and there are a lot of guys, you know, you talk to online or you talk to at the racetrack, and it's horsepower, horsepower, horsepower. How can I get more power? How can I get more power? How can I get more power? It's not the power. The nice thing about these cars is they are more about driver than they are about horsepower. That's why I love this class. People think I'm a front wheel drive racer. I'm not. I've been racing for a long time, and I started in rear wheel drives. I started in go-karts. I moved up to micro sprints. I had a street stock, Monte Carlo at one point. I've raced autocross. I've raced rallycross, so all-wheel drive. I did a little bit of road racing, a very small amount. I tried to get my SCCA novice license right before COVID hit, and then COVID hit, and unfortunately, that didn't happen. But, you know, it's fun, it's very expensive, and there's really not, you don't make any money, that's for sure. You spend a whole lot of money for a plastic trophy in the end, but it is a lot of fun. So I'll keep my road racing for iRacing now, because in real life, that's probably not gonna happen. So, but these things, I got into these things because my uncle got into these things. And I can tell you, after driving front wheel drives, I don't really have a ton of interest in moving up to a rear wheel drive, because it is more about the driver. And I can wheel anything. So when it comes to this, if you want to put me out there with a bunch of guys with front wheel drive cars that are equivalent to mine, those guys are in trouble, because I can drive a race car. And that's not me tooting my own horn, that's proven. So there we go. Dyno day's over. We got the cars tuned in. You know, season's about to start. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it's a good season. We can get out there and have some fun. I got that quarter midget for my kids, so we'll be bouncing around to a little bit of that. I know nothing about quarter midgets. Nothing. I'm going to be learning as I go here. So I don't know how much footage we'll do with that stuff. Probably go to probably be some stuff, the kids racing and whatnot like that will show. But and maybe if I learn some stuff, I'll try to teach you guys. But I am by no means a quarter midget wizard. I don't know anything about them. I don't know if that's a small chassis, large chassis, medium chassis. I know the motor's a UT1, which is not good. But we didn't pay a ton for that car, so that's okay. Anyways, the season's coming. We got some action coming. I'm excited. Hopefully we can race next weekend at Outlaw. I don't have my graphics yet. I guess that doesn't technically hold me up from racing, but I don't really like showing up with a half put together car or not fully, done race car. And you just got to see the paint job, and it's horrible. It is not how I pictured it in my head. So a lot of people like it. I think it's awful. But, once I get the graphics on, hopefully that makes it better. But going from the purple and neon yellow that, I loved and that most people loved that paint scheme, to this, I'm just trying to change it up and be different. And unfortunately, it is, it's something. It's about all I can say about that. If you like it, great, let me know. Tell me you like it. Maybe I'll feel better about it. But maybe it'll grow on me. My wife doesn't seem to mind it. She says it looks like a Wonder Bread car. My teammates say it has a rainbow on it, and we all know what that means. So, whatever. We gotta get some numbers and sponsors on it, and that will help for sure. I do not have a sponsor for right here. So if somebody wants to give me $500, you can be on the hood. Or maybe I just need to put Build a Kingdom real big on there. I don't know. I got some smaller spots too, if anybody else wants to get on the car. There's some small $300 spots. Just let me know. You can hit me up on the Facebook page, Cobalt Crew, or you can find me on Facebook. It's not that hard to do. But as usual, keep it creative and happy building.